Greetings. It's time I do this for once. It is time I do a video essay. This is the first video essay I have done. And the reason why is because, well, Dalek Force has been making some interesting videos relating to video essays, and I thought it would be a good idea for me to follow suit. This video essay will indeed be revolving around me, the Dalek Emperor. The Dalek Emperor, also known as the Emperor of the Daleks, was held by the supreme ruler of the Dalek Empire, and later in their history the new Dalek paradigm, commanding the race of Daleks and planet Skaro. Nature of the Emperor. The title of the Emperor was the highest possible in the hierarchy of the Dalek Empire, although a given society of Daleks could have only one Emperor. It was not uncommon for several Emperors to coexist in the universe at one time. They were in charge of distinct Dalek forces, while having a little contact with one another in all classes. The Emperors would not necessarily be mutually hostile. At first, the Dalek Emperor was normally an elected position, and with a mandate of every year, every Skaro year, all Daleks on Skaro convene and ceremoniously elect the Emperor and Warlord. However, no Dalek questioned the supremacy of the Golden Emperor, i.e. Prime, back in the day, and thus he and the Black Daleks are re-elected as Emperor and Warlord a year after. When one lone Dalek commander finally spoke out against the Golden Emperor, he and the Black Daleks disintegrated and exterminated that commander and its entire squadron on sight. Therefore, the Emperor ruled unquestioned. Many Emperor Daleks, such as myself, were typically the oldest and wisest living beings of their race, and resided within unique casings. Some, however, some Imperial class casings, like mine, were huge, of course, like my throne casing. My mobile casing is basically the same size as every other Dalek, but mine is black rather than the traditional gold and like grey and that. While another more mobile type was characterized by the inflated dome and the some amount of gold colouring. Well, until now, because I thought black would look more superior on me, in my opinion. When the Empire found itself of an Emperor, the usual procedure was for the Supreme Dalek to rise to the rank of Emperor, i.e. like me, essentially, upgrading their new casing in the process. That's exactly what I did, After I was elected Emperor, I dissolved the old council and replaced it with my new resurgence empire. However, it was not possible to be made Emperor by popular acclaim of the council, as was, according to one account, the case of Davros. Alternatively, Davros Prime was shown in some accounts to have become the emperors of large Dalek factions. Correct, the Imperial and Renegade faction. I carried on his legacy, of course, if you may recall, whose very creations had overseen, meaning the new Daleks were loyal to the Emperor in question. Now, on to different types of Emperors through the years. The first Emperor Dalek. Dalek Prime. He was the first Dalek to climb into a war machine, or in other accounts was the Dalek who had fired upon Davros and made proclamations on behalf of the entombed Daleks that they would prepare, grow strong, and emerge as the supreme power of the universe indeed. He is the one who proclaimed himself to be the new Emperor of the Daleks. He, of course, held this position for many years up until the parting of ways, and was first shown in Evil of the Daleks, immediately following the Dalek Imperial Renegade Civil War, after he was destroyed by Davros through my own eye stalk. He was then resurrected for the Time War, because the Daleks knew he would be the perfect Emperor for a Time War. It was referred to as the Dalek Prime by its side of war, as the opposing side, the Imperial Daleks, referred to the leader, Davros, as Dalek Emperor. He, of course, interacted with the Doctor on numerous occasions, as well as the Second and Ninth Doctor. He interacted very well with the Eighth Doctor and the Ninth Doctor, which kind of brought his downfall due to Rose. Another Dalek, who you may know as Dalek Zeg, was a scientist who was discovering the powers of alot. However, for some reason an accident occurred, causing his casing to become invulnerable to all weaponry to its own race. Dalek Zeg was effectively invincible and declared himself a new emperor, hoping to overthrow the Golden Emperor. However, recognizing that both Daleks had claim of the title, Zeg lacked the provable intelligence, but the Dalek Emperor lacked provable strength. A brain machine was ordered so that a duel could commence between who was more superior. The Golden Emperor, with a swift power of intelligence, killed Zeg, cementing his status as Emperor once more. During the Amariel Challenge, the Golden Emperor left Skaro as to lead the Daleks in their first planetary conquest during the Amariel Challenge. Skaro decided to create an independent empire. This faction called themselves the Exterminator Daleks, and were bound to believing that the Daleks could concentrate on finishing the complete annihilation of the Thals before they try to conquer other worlds. The Exterminators gave themselves an emperor who resided the city until it was overtaken by a Thal commando who wiped out the Exterminators. During the year 2254, an emperor with a bronze-coloured casing with a big bulbous head and large cannon-like gun sticks, allied with Davros rather than opposed him. The Emperor presided over a short-lived Dalek invasion of Earth, which was eventually put to end by the Doctor. Shortly after the failure of the invasion, the Doctor was sent to Skaro by the Time Lords to retrieve the sacred time rings stolen by Davros. Facing the Emperor caused its destruction with a screwdriver, and this was from the game Dalek Attack. The Mavellan War. According to the Celestial Interventions research just before the Mavellan War, the Dalek Empire governed such a large part of the universe that it had to be divided into small portions by two different emperors who had very little contact with one another. While the original emperor remained on Skaro and existed on the other side of what became the Mavellan line, this emperor was sadly destroyed by the Mavellans when a war was declared between them and the Daleks, leaving the empire with only a single emperor. However, Skaro's emperor struggled to keep track of the Dalek forces formerly under its counterpart's dominion, which harmed Dalek strategies during the Mavellan War. During the Restoration Empire, after some years of the Imperial Renegade War, a new emperor rose to the ranks. The Restoration Empire post-Time War historians believed Davros' successor orchestrated the destruction of Etra Prime and attempted an invasion of the Time War. This emperor was known as the Restoration Emperor. This is the most aggressive emperor on record. He was originally a Supreme Dalek and a member of Emperor Davros' Supreme Council. This Dalek was known as the Emperor of the Restoration, of course. He adopted a casing similar to the Golden Emperor's, and overhauled the entire Dalek hierarchy to bring it more into line with a new glorious path, trying to turn the tide and make the Dalek Empire a universal-wide threat to lesser races once again. This was during a in-betweeny time between the Time War and the Great Imperial Renegade War. He led the Daleks into the last Great Time War, trying to fulfill Davros's old ambition to become the Lords of Time yet again. The Restoration Empire and its emperor was later brought back to the Time War by fluctuations of time caused by the 10th Doctor, who poisoned the Cutterer in the Dark Times. The Emperor learned of the attack on history and the Doctor's involvement from a message sent by the surviving Daleks. One of the Time Squad had yet to have been sent back. He ordered an invasion to the archive of Islos, of course, which resulted in the entity being freed. And then he later oversaw a war against the Hond, and the Time Squad was sent back to rectify fluctuation to the Daleks' benefit. His trusty lieutenant, who keep with me as a memory, the Prime Strategist, of course, during the evacuation of Skaro caused by the entity, the Restoration Emperor ordered the Prime Strategist to dispatch and reawaken his 1,000 dormant Daleks to fight the entity. However, it seems that the entity had his own plans and possessed those Daleks, causing the entire operation to be scrapped and asked the mechanoids for help, which they did, and caused the entity to return to its own time. But this led to another battle with the mechanoids, of course. Shortly after, the Prime Strategist fooled the mechanoids by getting sucked into the same dimension where the entity resides. The Restoration Emperor and the Prime Strategist got a threatening message of what was to come during that time. From what I can understand, after those events, the Strategist managed to find himself in my timeline due to an unforeseen paradox caused by the Celestial Toymaker, but later I found out that his true demise was, well, he overthrew the Emperor of the Restoration Empire and then made himself Emperor. In a matter of speaking, he became the Emperor you see in Parting of the Ways, ultimately leading to his mind being turned to dust, and then leading to his destruction. I do not know what happened to the Prime Strategist after his demise during the battle between the 9th Doctor. I'm guessing what happened was time froze and he ended up in my current timeline, leading to his destruction in order to save Skaro and end the Time Lord menace that was Rassilon. Back to the original timeline, The Emperor was then turned to dust, as Waters foretold, so the timeline remained in check. The Paradigm Emperor shortly after decided to take over Skaro during the events of City of the Daleks to acquire the Eye of Time. However, it failed, leading to a world where Skaro is nothing but a ruined world thanks to the Doctor. Then later, another Paradigm Emperor came back during a paradox which he caused during the events where he tried to acquire the Eternity Clock. But ultimately that failed as well. The 12th Doctor knew that an Emperor had again taken over leadership of the Daleks by the time he took over someone's phone by sending him a message displaying the Emperor using the exact same casing that has been used previously by the Emperor of Parting of the Ways. The 14th Doctor also encountered him, of course. He pondered whether an Emperor or a Supreme Dalek was commanding the operation. It was the latter, during liberation of the Daleks. And that is all the Emperors we know so far. There could be more. There could be even one watching and doing this video essay right now. Anyway, see you all in my next video. Hope you enjoyed my little essay talking about Emperor Daleks. Farewell. Thanks all for the enjoyable video today. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Dalek Empire, or you will be exterminated. Will be no resistance. I am the God of all.